Well, in May of 1993, Roy Jones Jr., Bernard Hopkins, they met at the launching pad of what would be skyrocketing careers. Between them, they would acquire so much success, and finally, they meet up. Joe Tessitore alongside Doug Fisher and Boxing Hall of Famers Sugar Ray Leonard. And Ray, well, it's been much criticized, this main event, hasn't it? Years ago, everybody wanted to see it. It never got made. They argued over purses. They argued over egos. Roy said, I already was there. I already did that. But finally, they are back because business in the end trumped all, and here they are one more time. But having said all that, they still want it very badly, and it means the world to them.
Without question, this is not about a title. This is about bragging rights. It's like street corner, because this is a rivalry. These guys don't like each other. There's no love lost between these guys, although they're much older, without question. But you know what? It's the spirit that counts. These guys hate each other.
And Doug, with good reason. And with good reason, there is some doubt as to what Roy Jones Jr. will put forth tonight and what he will be capable of withstanding. How much could be revealed very early in this fight, Doug?
Well, you know, Roy Jones Jr. is 5-5 in his last 10 fights, and 3 of those 5 losses have come by way of knockout. So most observers feel that Roy Jones has developed a sweet spot somewhere high on his head. When he gets touched there, his legs go all loosey-goosey. He gets the wobbles. People are wondering when that's going to happen in this fight. It might show itself in this fight, but I don't think it's going to happen early in the fight, simply because Bernard Hopkins is not a pressure fighter like Glenn Johnson or Danny Green, who knocked Jones out in the first round of his last fight. Bernard Hopkins does not have the one-punch power that Antonio Tarver had with his straight left. Bernard Hopkins is a chess player. He's a technician. He's the kind of guy who capitalizes on his opponent's mistakes. Now, if Roy Jones goes out and does something stupid in the first couple of rounds, maybe we'll see Bernard try to land on that sweet spot. But I think both guys are going to respect each other and box in the early rounds. It will heat up in the middle rounds, though. And then we'll see if Roy Jones can take a solid shot from Bernard Hopkins.
But you paint a picture of what could possibly be, and that's a humbling experience for one of these fighters against their bitter rivals. And could it then defend and define their legacy? We will talk about that as the night goes on based on what happens here. Cerveza Tecate invites you to join us. If you're an AT&T wireless customer, you can text B-Hop or Roy to 8814. Who is winning? We want to know as the fight continues. The genesis of this rivalry 17 years ago. It's where they came from, but it's been a long road to where they have gone. Bernard Hopkins, Roy Jones Jr. Here's where it started. Here's how they got to this spot.
I remember that fight clearly, like it was yesterday. I was in there with a very talented young fighter. We both had a promising career ahead of us.
What was going through my mind and my heart was that this is my first opportunity to win a world title. I never forget, my whole thing was to make sure I was in top shape. I gotta do what I gotta do. I may not ever get this chance again. Because of my first title fight, I knew I was fighting a tough customer.
I just happened to have been in there with one of the greatest talents of the last 20 years of boxing. That was Roy Jones Jr. The guy that's very, very unorthodox. He doesn't go by the book. Roy Jones, don't throw a jab. Don't throw 3 jabs in a row in the right hand. Roy Jones Jr. was a counter-puncher, flashy, razzle-dazzle. So when you have that type of style versus the opposite style, which was mine, one looked like he's always behind the 8 ball, the other one looked like he's always in front.
Just kind of mixed it up with him, and then he started trying to push the issue around round 9, I think. And it was too late, though. I'd already pretty much beat him up. So it was like, everything he did, I just nullified. There was nothing he could do. My mental state was much too superior for him that night.
Roy Jones trying to win his first world championship. The vacant IBF middleweight title. Right cross lands solidly on Hopkins' chin.
Big right hand by Jones. Left hook lands too.
He's letting it all out now. Congratulations to Roy Jones on his first world championship.
I think that when it comes down to it, I didn't press the issue to the point where I was willing to let anything happen. Now, as time went on, I know that you must take those risks.
Now the first part of my journey had been accomplished. First part of my journey was to win a world title. Now that dream had been fulfilled. I was like, wow, I did it. I was very pleased with myself. They understand that I am what I say I am. It was a launch pad, really.
On his way to becoming a destination fighter.
Among this crowd, it's clear Jones is still the bigger star.
I hate to lose. I don't think anybody likes to lose. I hate to lose. Losing to me is failing to do what you know you can do. That fight took me mentally and physically and spiritually to a whole new different level, as history and my record shows after the loss to Roy Jones Jr.
It's a Bernard Hopkins knockout of Oscar De La Hoya. Antonio Tarver was knocked down by Bernard Hopkins. Ran off 20 consecutive middleweight title defenses.
But right now, Roy Jones has one up on Bernard Hopkins, and I accept that. And so here we are at this chapter that's going to be the final on either side.
The rivals. And through the years, this sport has produced so many notable rivals.
Absolutely, Joe. Great fighters have rivals, and that's who they build their legacies against. The greatest fighter ever, Ray Robinson, had Jake LaMotta in the 40s. They fought 5 times, culminating in 1951, their middleweight championship fight. Also in the 50s, Robinson went head up against Carmen Basilio, Gene Fulmer, all-time great fighters, some of the toughest hombres ever. Muhammad Ali made his name in the 1960s against Sonny Liston, who was an absolute beast at the time. In the 1970s, he had Joe Frazier and Ken Norton that he had all-time great trilogies with.
And of course, our broadcast partner smack dab in the 80s against Duran, Hearns, and Hagler. But Ray, if you had to pinpoint one and say, that was my rival, which name?
Roberto Duran, because Duran became an emotional thing, and I didn't like the guy. He didn't like me. It was more personal.
And now the time has come for Jones and Hopkins to put forth their rivalry the second go-round. This was the weigh-in yesterday. Roy and Bernard. Bernard came in and ready and fit 175. And Doug, Roy came in just over 175.
Yeah, he actually skipped the fighter interviews yesterday as he boiled his body down to 175.5 pounds, and the contracted weight was 175 pounds, but he had no trouble making 175 pounds on his second attempt. He didn't need the full hour that he gets.
Roy Jones also had no trouble busting the chops of Bernard Hopkins, the 45-year-old Bernard Hopkins, with his own Easter basket of sorts.
Forgot, Bernard bought me a basket yesterday. I gotta be generous to bring him his basket too. Let's look at it. It says Viagra, dance, cheer cleanser, arthritis, all kind of stuff. That's old man stuff, you know. You probably need that come Sunday morning, so hope you like it.
Roy, 4 years and 1 day younger than Bernard. However, the odometer seems to have racked up more mileage as he makes his way out to the Mandalay Bay Event Center. For years, he was perhaps one of the most supremely athletic phenoms, not just in boxing, but in all professional sports. Flanked by his longtime coach, Alton Merkerson, and Bernard Hopkins made a point to look at Merkerson this week and tell him, it's going to be up to you to stop this fight, to save your man. Jones has been very outspoken, dismissing his recent TKO loss as premature and controversial, saying Danny Green had illegal hand wraps and I was on my feet ready to go. He says none of that matters now. It's all about Hopkins and their shared hatred for each other in this long-standing rivalry and this rematch that has taken 17 years of paralleled achievement in their careers to make.
Well, Roy's been jovial all fight week. very loose, very relaxed, very confident at the press conferences, but now you see he's got his game face on as he walks to the ring. This is the moment of truth.
He looks like he's more aware than I've seen him in the past. He looks more alert. He looks more, there's more life to Roy. And what he's going to try to do is try to remind Bernard Hopkins of '93.
Ladies and gentlemen, the moment has arrived. So let's get this party started. Coming to the ring, Mr. Roy Jones Jr.
Right about now.
He says this is going to be vintage Roy Jones. And now a little smirk as he's enveloped by the reception here at the Mandalay Bay Event Center. Heard him say earlier that Bernard hates him because he wasn't better than him then, and he can keep hating me for another 17 years. The 8-time world champion, 4-division champion, middleweight, super middleweight, light heavyweight, and went all the way up and packed down the pounds to take a heavyweight crown. And now at 41 years old, the question to be answered, does he still have it? How much is left against his bitter rival?
The two legends match up well, physically speaking. Hopkins is 4 years older. He's 2 inches taller at 6'1", but Roy Jones Jr. has a slight reach advantage. Unified rules of boxing govern this bout. There's no 3 knockdown rule. There is no standing 8 count. A fighter cannot be saved by the bell in any round, and only the referee can stop this fight.
And yes, Bernard Hopkins is 45 years old, but no one has been more disciplined, more of a committed professional during their long reign than the Executioner. A record 20 title defenses at middleweight. And however much you look in the rear view mirror, it isn't needed. Lauding his past is so easy, but his current status is still the envy of so many fighters. Number 4 pound for pound, according to Ring Magazine. Number 3 at light heavyweight. A true master craftsman of skill. But tonight, that skill and that composure and the way he's built that strong foundation on, it will be infused with raw emotion of a rivalry, of avenging a loss that has stayed with him for so long. He said it's about healing a 17-year-old wound that's been with him since '93, and he's going to close that chapter of his career.
And now, making his entrance to the ring, Mr. Bernard, the Executioner Hopkins!
this special fight. He'll jab and punch with all his might. He'll show the world he's number one. You better look out, 'cause here he comes. The record shows he throws the blow and does it his way. The record shows he throws the blows and does it
Old school Sinatra Vegas for an old school champ. His own personalized lyrics. Bernard has always done it his way. Will he be able to do it his way tonight against Roy? For the official introductions of the rivals, here's Michael Buffer.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the Mandalay Bay of Las Vegas, Nevada, USA, Oscar De La Hoya's Golden Boy Promotions and Roy Jones Jr.'s Square Ring Promotions are proud to present the main event of the evening. The rivals, 12 rounds of boxing in the light heavyweight division. Sponsored by Tecate, Cerveza con Carácter, AT&T, a better 3G experience, and Southwest Airlines, bags fly for free. Sanctioned by the Nevada State Athletic Commission, Chairperson Pat Lunville, Executive Director Keith Kaiser. At ringside, the three judges scoring this contest, Dave Moretti, Don Trella, and Glenn Trowbridge. And inside the ring, the man in charge of the action at the bell, referee Tony Weeks. And now, in the world of boxing, there are stars, there are superstars, and then there are legends. Tonight, two legends face each other in this ring. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble! Waiting out of the red corner, with his head trainer Alton Murkison, wearing black, official weight 175 pounds. This 1988 Olympic silver medalist, voted the most outstanding fighter of that Olympic Games, has a professional record of 54 victories, including 40 knockouts with 6 defeats. From Pensacola, Florida, the former middleweight world champion, former super middleweight world champion, 3-time light heavyweight world champion, and former heavyweight champion of the world, future Hall of Fame legend, Roy Jones Jr. And fighting out of the blue corner, with his head trainer, Nazim Richardson, wearing black with red, officially weighing in also at 175 pounds. He brings an outstanding professional resume to the ring, consisting of 50 victories, including 32 knockouts, with 5 defeats and 1 draw. From Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the former undisputed middleweight world champion and light heavyweight champion of the world, the future Hall of Fame legend, Bernard, the Executioner Hopkins.
For a fight that was dismissed as being past its shelf life, there is energy in this arena.
There certainly is. Roy Jones Jr. still has his fans, and Hopkins has his followers.
There is energy, yes.
Tony Weeks,
Okay,
referee.
gentlemen, both receive your instructions in the dressing room. Okay, look, he goes right here, it's okay. Anything below that's low. Right here is okay, anything below that's low. I want a good, clean fight. Obey my commands at all times. Above all, protect yourselves at all times. Let's go.
17 years to get to this point. Glad you're with us. Joe Tessitore ringside with Sugar Ray Leonard and Doug Fisher. Bernard Hopkins, Roy Jones, after all this time, now just moments away. And Doug, based on what just happened to Roy Jones last time out, what could we see early on here?
We might see Hopkins box out of character and more aggressively than usual to test that sweet spot that many people feel Roy Jones has.
I think Roy Jones may be a little more aggressive than usual because he needs to surprise Hopkins with something to show that he's in the fight.
Feints there and a smile from B-Hop.
Both men are chess players by nature. They are both boxers who like to capitalize on their opponent's mistakes. So we will probably see a fair amount of feints early in this bout.
Of course, for so many years, that chess game being played by Roy Jones was with supreme athleticism, his ability to get in with speed, with athleticism. And for Bernard, it was always the sweet science, the skill. Now, the diminished athleticism of Roy at 41, where does it leave things in terms of that chess match?
And also the fact that, you know, this fight means so much to both fighters. I mean, this means an enormous amount of pride and bragging rights. They don't seem to be loosened up now, so anything can happen in the very first round.
You know what, Joe, you mentioned the diminished athleticism of Roy Jones, and you're absolutely right. He is not what he was 6 or 7 years ago, but he's still a superb athlete.
No doubt about it. What he was one of the most elite pro athletes there was on earth.
Absolutely. Arguably the best athletic specimen ever to lace on a pair of boxing gloves. And you can make a case that he's still a better athlete than Bernard.
That 60% or 75% of Roy is still capable of getting a lot accomplished. A cautious, tactical first round here. Bernard now comes in.
Both fighters are very tight.
Stop, I got you.
Because I can tell by the way they're throwing their punches right now. They're not loosened up yet. Still a little reluctancy from both fighters.
You know, both guys are legends, but they're not used to being in the ring with a fellow legend. They're used to being in with lesser fighters, if not in terms of their class and skill, in terms of their names. And now there's two bona fide legends in there against each other.
Stop. Oh, listen to me. Here we go.
Even in some of those signature victories and headline-making losses for Roy Jones, he was always the name. Be it Ruiz or Tarver or Glenn Johnson.
Stop. Let him up.
Don't go for the fake out, baby, like he walking up. He dancing up. The minute you move, he gonna jump out and look for a counter hook. Whenever you double or triple your jab up at, he's gonna fall straight back in the line. You're gonna go to the rope, make the investment, and look for the left hook because he drops his right hand inside. Just walk him to the... Yeah, I'm just trying to pick your jab. Mess with him. But make sure you feint at him more. Look, all you gotta do is get enough flow and you'll take charge. But you gotta take charge with your jab and so forth. Get ahead and make him desperate, all right? Come on. Here we go.
Take charge with the jab is what Roy heard. Meanwhile, looking for the left hook. Making an impact, doubling things up. Hopkins, corner, feeling they've seen what now they can lay forth a game plan for.
I thought Hopkins' trainer, Nazim Richardson, gave him the perfect advice. Back him up with your jab. Watch out for that left hook.
So double it up. He'll drop that right. You come with the left hooks.
You know, if you look at both guys, you know, although they don't like each other, there is mutual respect.
Right hand got in both to the body and up top from B-Hop.
Set up with the jab. Set up with a jab to the stomach and to the chest.
Worked his way in and then fired off the right hand.
And you saw briefly when that right hand landed, Jones kind of spun a little bit. He kind of twisted.
Earlier this week, Doug, when we talked, you said to me, I just want to see how he reacts the first time he gets hit clean, in talking about Roy Jones.
Well, also, Roy, you know, you have to think about Roy getting knocked out by Danny Green. The fact that he got past his first round is kind of a good thing for his mind.
You never know how a guy's going to react, right, Ray? After he's been floored by a first-round TKO the next time out. Tony Weeks, the referee, may have his hands full at some moments tonight. You get that sense. Roy comes in with the left hand. Bernard escapes it, then ties up on the inside.
Stop, I got you. Let him up, let him go.
Roy should really keep his hands up, although that's his style. But I think he should be a little more defensive.
Bernard rushes in, Bull rushes in, now falls him right into the corner. Places 2 headshots, then goes back to that belt line.
Hands free.
This is where Roy does not want to be. He should spin his man.
Stop. Let him go.
And take the fight to the center of the ring.
You wonder if Roy has the legs to keep a fight in the center ring for 3 minutes of a round.
Pretty tough task.
We invite you to join us. You see blood coming from the left eye.
You got to put your hand out a little closer to him. You know what I'm saying? Put your hand out closer to him. Put your shield out, fight with your hand out.
Bernard is picking his spots behind his jab, but that was a lead right hand that backed Roy Jones into a neutral corner. And he worked the body pretty well while grappling on the inside with Jones. Here's another angle. A right hand followed by a left hook. Roy Jones is just covering up. He's not really punching back.
Those AT&T users who are 21 or older joining us from home, are asking you who is winning. You can text in B-Hop or Roy at 8814. Message and data rates may apply. We invite you to join us on our Tecate text throughout the night.
Stop, let him up.
So an accidental clash of heads causing that cut on Roy Jones.
You know what happens to most fighters as we age, myself included, is the fact that we can take a shot on the chin, but it's the side of the head that has a tendency to affect the equilibrium.
Roy's has been greatly affected. It all started with Antonio Tarver back in 2004. Glenn Johnson got to him. Most recently, Danny Green down in Australia. Roy complaining that it was a premature stoppage, and even going so far as to claim that Green had illegal hand wraps. Bernard just over the top with that right hand.
Stop. Let him up.
You know, they criticize Bernard Hopkins, says that he's not exciting or whatever. but I think he's one of the best technicians in the ring.
Undoubtedly, and has been for a long time.
If you're a fan of old school boxing, if you're a fan of technique, if you're a fan of ring generalship and timing and well-placed punches, then you're a fan of Bernard Hopkins.
Finds a way.
He takes his time. He breaks his man down.
Doesn't waste punches. Every punch has a meaning. Every punch has a purpose.
To a certain extent, every movement has a purpose with him. Lays traps, figures out range, how he can deliver a punch.
I'd say Hopkins is the ring general right now, but it does look like Roy Jones is getting a little more loosened up than he was in the first 2 rounds.
Yeah, but what's happening again by Roy dropping his hands, I mean, that's his fight. That's his normal style. But you also have to compensate for the inactivity or your age, if you will.
41 years old is Roy Jones. Bernard, a fresher 45.
You look at Bernard Hopkins, he's an anomaly. I mean, he's 45 years old, has the body of a 20-year-old, but he's thick, he's a professor.
Done it the right way. Roy comes in, trying to place that right hand.
When you get in close to him, right up. Throw something up the middle, make him close his hand, and he can't point in. Look, throw your points up, he close his hand in, and he can't swing wide. Make him pull his elbows in, you understand what I'm saying? Time you feel the contact on the inside? Time you feel the contact on the inside, you throw your points up the middle. He when he can jump in, land a shot, and tie you up. That's all he's looking to do. That stick will control it, even when he jumps. With this stick, with that chain. Add a feint to it.
So far, Hopkins has been the ring general in there. There's a nice left hook right on the borderline.
Hasn't had a knockout since stopping Oscar De La Hoya with a body shot in 2004. There have been plenty of times when he's been asked as to the outcome of this fight against Roy Jones, where he has answered that he will knock out Roy Jones.
I've been waiting for Roy Jones to start throwing his jab, to use his left jab, and he's starting to do it now.
Doug Fisher, how do you have it through 3?
I have it 3-0 for Bernard Hopkins. I think he's getting off first. He's landing the quality punches. And he, whenever he sees fit, he's able to muscle or force Roy Jones Jr. to the ropes or to a corner.
What makes Bernard Hopkins such an effective fighter is the fact that he knows exactly where to land punches. He throws those body shots. He's put the rib shots, the kidney shots, and follows up with the left hook.
He's a marksman.
And let's face it, Roy Jones is just not landing punches. He's not landing quality punches. You have to score those first 3 rounds for Hopkins.
Well, normally Roy outspeeds his opponents. Here, he's fighting a guy who's clever, a guy who's just as tall as he is, if not taller, and a guy who works his body, slows, and brings those hands down.
Hopkins does have 2-inch height advantage. He's right to the belt line.
I don't like Roy against the ropes. I think his chances are much better in the center of the ring.
Stop, I got you.
But it looks like now that Roy is reacting more to every move, every feint that Hopkins gives him. More so now than he did in the first round and the second round. And Hopkins is using that to back him up.
Stop.
I mean, it doesn't look like Hopkins has visibly hurt Roy Jones at any point so far. But it does appear that Jones is leery of those punches. He does respect him.
Also, Hopkins is there giving some head feints.
Reacting to each other. The pawns have been moved into place on that chessboard.
Roy's trying to remind Bernard of his speed. And that was what, speed nullifies everything.
Hands at the hips. Putting out that target of a right hand, inviting something.
Dangerous, hands down, dangerous.
Playful is Roy Jones. Trying to stir up those echoes of the former pound-for-pound #1.
He's going to try to steal shit by showing that. He's getting a little more comfortable, so now he's going to open up and play into our hand. But X, keep that thing going. Now what you're going to see is when you step, you can step over. That right hook will be there. But when you're driving back, don't smother yourself. You drive back, take that half step back off, come back with that hook, drive that right hand back to the body.
Let it go. Let your hand
But keep breaking him down. Don't play with that right hook to his body. When you get in there, drive that thing up in there, man. Drive it right up in his heart. All right? Don't play with him in there. You're going to break it.
You know, this is what makes Bernard such an incredible fighter. He puts his punches together, he forces the opponent back, and tries to really nullify. And Roy, I don't really know what that was. He was waving his glove. I don't know what that meant.
That's just showboating. That's the razzle-dazzle that he hopes stole the round for him.
And it was noted in the corner of Bernard Hopkins, as you heard Nazim Richardson said, you can tell he's getting more comfortable, speaking of Roy Jones, but that'll play right into our hands. Right hand from B-Hop lands.
You know what happens as we get older, and again, I'm using myself, we still have speed, but we don't have that same commitment.
How so, Ray?
To throw a punch. Normally when I was in the ring, when I was younger, I should say, I would throw a jab or throw a right hand, and I knew the guy couldn't hit me back. But as I got older and kept making those comebacks, I was concerned.
Short right hand on the inside as he came forward by Roy Jones Jr.
It's that commitment.
Those lingering doubts can grow bigger. And now the pace picked up by Bernard. Roy feints, lunges in, unable to connect. Walk back to the ropes.
Well, you know, Roy's really using his hand speed to kind of frustrate Hopkins. But the punches are not that destructive.
He threw a couple hard shots. There was one hard left to the body that Jones threw a moment ago when Bernard was pressing him up against the ropes. At least, unlike some of the opening rounds, at least he is actually punching when they're in close together.
Bernard walks him into that corner.
But I would say Jones is still doing more talking than punching, than effective punching. And who knows, maybe he's getting it in Bernard's head. Maybe he wants to draw Bernard into that sort of shouting match. That was right on the cup, right on the cup.
And you know, he knew exactly where the referee was. Tony Weeks went to the backside, and as soon as he did, that's exactly where it was placed.
That was a vintage Bernard Hopkins punch to Roy Jones'
old
cup.
School Philly Wars right there. Every tool in the tool belt, and he just unloaded one.
He's grabbing that head, Tony. He's just looking to grab that head, Tony.
Let your hands go. Let your hands go.
Hey, listen, X-Factor. You can't smother yourself inside. You need to take that half step over, drive that hand. Same thing we work on the gym. Take that half step over, drive that right hook to the buoy, Drive it up the middle. All right? All right, don't smother yourself. All right? But that jab gives you the space. That jab will give you the space you need to do. All right?
Time you feel the contact when you're close, touch up. And then when you break, okay? When you come out of the break, you gotta take charge. Don't try to push it down.
Hopkins knows that referee Tony Weeks is to his left, so he lets a right hand go right below the belt on purpose, right on the cup. Here's another angle. Tony Weeks to his left. Bernard knows it. He lets that right hand go right to the cup.
He's old school in every way. Those personalized lyrics that he'll do it his way. Bernard doesn't bite on the feint, instead throws off a jab and then a right hand to the body.
Well, Roy Jones has surprised a lot of people about going, well, it's now 6th round. Most people thought we'd end in round 2 or 3.
If he was hit clean, if he was put back into that place that he's been recently. But instead, neutralizing things to the best of his abilities, although Hopkins seemingly controlling the first half of the fight. Doug Fisher, your score.
I have 5 rounds for Bernard Hopkins. I think Jones made him competitive in rounds 4 and 5, but he did not do enough. Didn't do enough effective scoring to win those rounds, in my opinion.
He's maintaining a little more than he's advancing.
Stop up. Keep him up, Ryan. Keep him up.
You know, Ray, I'm not surprised at all that we're in the middle rounds. I thought that the fight would at least go into the late rounds because of the kind of boxer Bernard Hopkins is. I mean, when he first turned pro and leading into their first fight, he was known as a good right-handed puncher. But he has since changed his style to that of a complete boxer and a technician. He never goes for the knockout. Even his last knockout against Oscar De La Hoya, a much smaller man. He wasn't looking for that knockout. He let it come.
Well, Bernard just wears you down. It just wears you down with his body shots and just a barrage of punches.
I think he prefers to do that against Jones. I think he wants to punish him.
Well, he said that. He indicated that he wanted to punish Roy.
Stop. Let him up.
And he truly believes that Roy's talent has diminished, whereas his has stabilized.
Modern day Archie Moore. He defies age, does Bernard Hopkins. 45 years old and still among the elites in the game. Now, he's not signing on to fight the best young guys of the light heavyweight division, as that was a hit to the back of the head.
It's unlike Bernard Hopkins to go through this type of theatrics.
This kind of reaction.
Unless he was really hit hard.
Especially with the kind of shot. Now ringside physician coming in here. Hopkins is still down. Ray, it's one of the most dangerous punches you can be hit by, but how hard of a punch was that?
I would love to see a replay.
Talk to the doc. Let the doctor know what's up. Let the doctor know what's up.
Let's take a look at this punch. Roy's telling us that it wasn't a hard punch. Bernard missed with the punch, fell into the ropes. Roy let the punch go while Bernard was holding on to his right hand. Let's get another look at it.
That doesn't, you know, it didn't look like Jones really loaded up on it.
Roy's standing right above us. I just took my headsets off and said, Roy, how hard did you hit him? He said, not that hard.
I'm great.
Well, I think Bernard has 5 minutes to recover.
Absolutely.
If not, the fight could be forfeit.
He's going to take a point?
Listening to Tony Weeks.
1 point. He's
He's being penalized.
Point deduction.
If they feel that it was a blatant foul, I think the referee does have the discretion to disqualify Roy, but it doesn't look like that. He just docked him a point for the infraction.
But after a warning, correct?
Well, I don't believe he had warned Roy Jones for rabbit punches previously.
You said it was flagrant.
Okay, are you ready?
I would have never
Round was almost over.
suspected that we would get this kind of reaction from Bernard Hopkins after
He's ready to go. Stay there. He's ready to go. Stay there. Stay right here. We're gonna go. Hey, time in.
Back to action, and Bernard right to action. That spurs him on to make a fight of it. They're fighting right through the bell, right through the referee. They are going at it. Security into the ring. It just became a brawl instantly.
This is a bizarre round.
I believe that was
Two legends meeting up in a fight that folks were dismissing as lacking energy or drama and too late, and it turns into this halfway through.
This, it's surreal. It's absolutely bizarre. But I tell you what, it certainly got a rise out of the crowd here in the event center,
including Antonio Tarver, sitting ringside. Wow. Wild 6th round. The hit behind the head, the extended delay, and then Hopkins comes out like a raging bull at Roy Jones. Here's how it finished up. Tony Weeks wants to take control of this.
No. Look, both of y'all, let's cut this out. Fight like a professional. No, you're going to fight like a professional. Okay, here we go. Time in.
Here they go. Will they get back to that place? To that emotional reaction that we just saw?
I tell you what, the end of that round is not what you expect to see from 40-year-old veterans. It's what you expect to see from hot-headed young prospects, but I guess that tells you how much resentment, emotion, hate they have for each other.
Agreed, Doug. Quite revealing, Ray, isn't it? In terms of the intensity of what they really feel for each other.
It's that emotional content. I mean, now all of a sudden Roy has bounce in his legs.
It's like he went to a time machine. Stirred up some old memories. A lot of talk that's gone on for 17 years. Fights that could have been. Negotiations that went south.
Because this fight is personal, these guys are really being very competitive towards one another.
Hands free. Stop. I got you. Stop.
You know, Roy's leaning back. Roy keeps leaning back away from Hopkins' punches. And just be careful of that.
Bernard on the break.
Watch it. Here we go.
You know, Bernard can get away with sneaky stuff on the inside, but I think he has to be careful with the blatant stuff.
Well, remember what he did a few rounds ago when Tony Weeks circled to the backside. He saw where the referee was and planted one down low.
Roy Jones is an amazing athlete, and I think he's willed himself to be competitive in this fight against Hopkins.
Yeah, I mean, he's sort of recaptured this form that we haven't seen from him, not in this fight.
This is not the Jones, yeah.
And not in a few fights against a world-class competitor like Bernard Hopkins.
I'm waiting for an overhand right.
Roy looks over and just shakes that off.
This is an incredible pace, by the way.
I think this is not what a lot of folks expected.
It's definitely picked up.
This motherfucker's faking. This guy is faking and he's fronting. If you double this jab up, man, take that feint over. That right hook is there and you drive it to the body. He's going straight back in the line. He's looking to jump at you. All he's trying to do is take the pressure.
Here's Bernard at his aggressive best, lunging in, landing an overhand right. Another overhand right. And a nice right cross while they're still in the clinch. Right, hitting on the break.
There was more action and emotion and drama in rounds 6 and 7 of this fight than the entire fight on May 22nd, 1993.
Yeah, absolutely right. Absolutely right.
Truth be told, their first meeting wasn't a good fight at all.
Rather uneventful. This is eventful. This is exciting, and this is dramatic because after that 6th round, we just don't know what to expect from these guys.
Plus, you know the storylines. You've been deeply invested in the careers, legendary careers. And now, what could be one of the final chapters. How does it all unfold?
But this really demonstrates the power of the mind. I mean, for Roy Jones, who people look at as finished and everything else, he's holding his own in this fight against Hopkins.
I actually scored the 7th round for Roy Jones. First round I've scored for him.
Of course, in the 6th round, there's a point deduction doled out by Tony Weeks. The hit behind the head. It seemed like a fairly innocuous punch, but Bernard Hopkins stayed down for quite some time. When he rose up, all hell broke loose.
Stop. Let him go.
And now the two chess players reorganize, think about the next move.
Stop. Let him up.
Hopkins making sure that he deposits a little bit in the bank every time he gets Jones against those ropes, going to the body. Comes in with the jab, works his way in now, tries to place the right hand upstairs. Jones covers up, ties up now. See if they can work their way out of there.
Stop.
What Hopkins is trying to do, he's trying to wear Roy out, trying to wear him down, push him, shove him, make him spend unnecessary energy. Inside, rabbit punching, they're doing everything.
Is there another rabbit punch?
Yes.
You have a sense you know exactly where this is going.
Stay right there.
Let's look at this.
Both fighters fouled each other on that one.
Yeah, there it was. It's very short, very small.
One of the most dangerous punches that can be landed.
Listen, both of your fouls each other on that. Hold on. Both of your fouls each other on that. We're going to see what happens, okay? I can't see what I'm going to call. Okay, just keep it clean. Come on.
You know, guys, it looked like a deliberate punch to me. Didn't look like a hard punch, but it looked like a deliberate punch.
Over here. No. Can you continue? Both of you are fouled on that one. Nobody's going to get any points. Can you continue? Okay, are you ready to go?
You see all right? I worked through it, baby. Come on.
Okay, he's ready. Okay. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Time
Second time tonight this has happened.
Now, Joe, Tony Weeks told Bernard, both of you guys fouled on that one, so I'm not taking a point. What was Hopkins' foul?
And once again, Hopkins comes out charging after the incident.
And wins that round.
We're going to have to go back and watch the replays there, get further determination, some clarity as to how everything shook out there in the eyes of Tony Weeks. Andrew Holyfield.
Both fighters are following each other. Both fighters are following each other.
He's seen it all through the years. He knows about some intentional fouls.
Can you continue?
So
Tit
Hopkins,
for tat, right?
Yeah, Hopkins landed a rabbit punch. Jones landed a rabbit punch. Hopkins reacted to the rabbit punch. Jones would say overreacted. So that was a retaliatory rabbit shot from Roy Jones.
What did I say in round number one? That Tony Weeks is going to earn his paycheck tonight?
Oh, yeah.
Who's winning? Bernard Hopkins, according to those of you texting in. Glad you're with us here from the Mandalay Bay Event Center. Joe Tessitore ringside with Doug Fisher and Sugar Ray Leonard. The rivals, Hopkins, Jones, round number 9. These middle rounds have been quite intriguing. 2 delays with the rabbit punches. A brawl at the end of the 6th round. High intensity in round 7. And they march on.
Neither fighter is taking a lot of chances. Oh, good right hand by Roy. A great right hand by Roy Jones. But as I was saying earlier, no one's taking chances.
As the fight goes along, Ray, and the clock ticks down, and maybe a sense of urgency comes over Roy, what is the one opportunity that does exist for him to take a chance, to have that risk, and to get the reward? What would it be?
Well, no one has ever knocked Hopkins out. He's a solid chin. Even at the tender age of 45, he's a solid chin. I think Roy's aware that if he's going to beat Hopkins, he has to beat him by points.
Doug, what do you have to fight?
I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
7 rounds for Bernard Hopkins. 1 round for Roy Jones Jr. That was the 7th round. The 6th round is a 10-8 round because of the point deduction. So Roy Jones needs to land more punches like that. He needs to land clean shots in the front of Bernard's head, not in the back of it. But I tell you what, he's just not active enough to win these rounds, to outpoint Bernard.
Came up short on that right hand. Bernard backed off. Trying to chase him down. Range finding with the left, then sending forth a right. Bernard immediately turns around, fires off a right of his own.
I think Roy needs to let those hands go, those fast hands go.
Let's let him go a little bit in the final 20 seconds here. He's giving Bernard something to think about. And he needed to do that.
survive so they can say Roy looked better. All right, don't let it happen. Keep pushing him back. The fight done fell in and you attacking, him falling back. Stay attacking. Dog this motherfucker. Dog him out there.
Hopkins had his success early in the round, forcing Roy Jones Jr. back as he has the entire fight. But in the last 30 seconds of the round, there's a nice right hand to the ear of Bernard Hopkins.
Roy had some moments in the final half minute of that 9th round.
Heard Nazim Richardson saying they just want to survive so that they can say Roy looks better.
You see that Hopkins just pushed Roy into a corner where he's far more effective working that body.
Stop.
Well, if Hopkins is going to make good on his promise to stop Roy Jones Jr. or force Roy Jones' corner to throw in the towel, he's going to have to start applying more constant pressure. He's going to have to stay on Roy.
That's a low blow.
Yep. Left hand straight below the belt. Seemed like it was on the guard, but we will take a look. But in that exchange, a left hand straight below the belt.
Accidental low blow. Okay, Bernard, you got 5 minutes. Accidental low blow.
We are not used to seeing this from Bernard Hopkins.
Let's take a look at it.
It was low.
It was a low blow. Yeah, kind of a borderline. It was just under the belt line.
I would also ask you, how much was on that punch?
It didn't seem like Roy Jones really loaded up with it, which makes this whole scene bizarre. And it kind of reminds me of Hopkins' fight with Joe Calzaghe.
This is
when he took some time. Yeah.
This is the 3rd time tonight that Bernard Hopkins has had an extended break based on a foul from Roy Jones Jr.
Shit out my cup. You're going to have to straighten it out when you get to the corner.
Now that was earlier, before the low blow, where
I can't touch you.
Bernard gave him a little love tap up top.
Okay.
Yeah, he was holding and hitting. There was one low and then there was one high. Perhaps Jones was retaliating for that.
Time in, fellas.
So you have to wonder if this is all part of Bernard Hopkins' tactics.
Stop, I got you.
To go down from borderline shots?
Well, to sort of borderline foul Roy Jones so that he retaliates, and then Bernard goes into theatrics. Although you would think if he wants to, he wants to beat Roy Jones, he doesn't want to win by disqualification. You would think he wants to win in fair fashion, in decisive fashion.
And now Bernard is pushing up against the ropes before they get separation. It's been a bizarre fight, hasn't it?
You know what? Hopkins is a very experienced, clever veteran, and I think he's just buying time. Trying to get a breather here.
Do you think Hopkins needs a breather? Do you see anything in his body language that would tell you that he's getting a little fatigued?
I don't. He's not blowing hard.
Well, you see it on his driver's license. It reads 45, but we haven't seen it in the ring throughout his career.
I just can't help thinking that Hopkins gives Roy Jones confidence when he goes down from these fouls. Admittedly, they are foul punches, but they don't seem like they're powerful punches.
But it's late in the fight, too, though. Good right hand, lead up right by Hopkins.
Bottom line is Hopkins is landing the majority of clean legal blows in this fight.
And thus controlling what we assume the judges' scorecards will look like.
Stop, I got you.
your job. We gonna close like a champion. This guy ain't real, he bullshit next. Anything he lands, you can get it back by doubling your jab up and pushing him back and getting it right back. Keep your space.
Both of y'all are holding. Both of y'all.
We trying to fight. He keep grabbing. We trying to fight. Every time he comes forward, the guy grab his hand, Tony.
He's coming right to you. Let him come to you. When he comes to you, let your hands go. He ain't got nothing for you. You see everything coming.
Hey,
everything coming.
On the road, take a half step back and drop your shot. Half step back.
So Besa Takate text poll, who is winning? 63% say Bernard Hopkins.
I have to agree with the voters.
Seconds out, let's go.
They waited 17 years. They have under 6 minutes left in what they were anticipating for so long.
Watch it. Stop. Watch your hands in there. Come on.
Uh-oh. Now it's Roy Jones's turn for a little theatrics. He's saying he was headbutted.
What's wrong?
Wouldn't be the first time it happened with
Well, and you know what?
You can see
Eyelid is sliced. Eyelid is sliced.
That
Hold on,
left
let the
eye.
doctor look at you. Got an accidental headbutt. Accidental headbutt.
Tony Weeks saying it was an accidental head clash that opened up that cut above the left eye.
Okay. Accidental. Okay, accidental. Here we go. Time in. Let's go.
Well, here on the strip, Bernard Hopkins was a -500 favorite. But the real bet to be made would have been the over on the amount of fouls and breaks in the action we've had. It has been an oddity throughout. Short left hand, then a flurry to the body.
I got to stop.
See that cut. It's a merge there of the left eye of Roy Jones.
It appears to be on the eyelid, which is really a bad spot, but it's not flowing.
Bernard, I would say Jones is handling the cut pretty well. He's not letting the trickle of blood affect him. But then again, Bernard's not doing a whole lot.
I got you.
Not targeting it.
Roy's landing that right hand, lead off right hand, but he's not coming back with anything.
Stop. Let him go.
At least he is loading up and throwing that right hand with conviction.
Bernard winding up that right hand.
He's trying to set it up with a left hook to the body, which does land.
Landed it moments ago. Looking to see if he can get him bite.
Whether they admit it or not, there is respect here. Because ordinarily, Roy would throw punches, throw combinations, lead off for left hooks, right hands. He's being very cautious. And also Hopkins.
Stop.
There is respect.
I got you.
What has been a roller coaster ride of ring oddities here in this main event. From the rabbit punches, the low blows, the head clash.
Hopkins began the round with a sweet combination, jab, right hand, right cross, and then the heads did come together. take another look at it. Left, right, and followed by the forehand.
Evander Holyfield is sitting ringside, and he had a certain weapon, lowering that head as he came forward while throwing punches. It happened there.
Hopkins landing on that cut eye.
Let's go, seconds out.
Ray, what were we talking about earlier? The rivals?
Come on, Stats.
Now there's Reyes and Bernard and Roy standing opposite each other for the 12th and final round.
I want to see if Hopkins guns for a knockout in this round, or if he's satisfied with just winning a decision.
Shot the right hand up top, then brought it back down underneath, tried to get it under that left elbow.
Stop, let him up, let him up. Stop. I got you. Let me go.
Tony Weeks should get war pay.
Stop.
Roy tying up, and they came to the inside there. Each man said numerous times they would get rid of the other. They're bitter rivals. Bernard put it out there, laid it in concrete. Now, just 80 seconds to make that a reality.
Well, Bernard,
it doesn't have the look of it, though.
Bernard wanted to punish him, and Roy wanted to knock Hopkins out. That was their intention.
But easier said than done. These guys have so much experience. They know how to survive. They have more experience, and these guys are used to facing in the ring.
Yes, you're right. Doug, these guys have so much experience, so much ring generalship, so much heart and pride. So I guess now it's one apiece, guys, huh? One win for each one.
Bernard coasting home, bringing this into a soft landing. Well, Doug Fisher will head to the ring to find out what each man thought of it, and if that satisfies Bernard Hopkins enough. Ray, that was a strange one.
That was a very interesting fight.
Started off with Bernard controlling pace and controlling range and being more effective. Then the middle goings with all the oddities of the late hit, of the hitting behind the head, the low blows, the head clash, the drama, the delays, the breaks in the action, the near brawl. And then it finishes up where there could have been desperation and urgency, and there just wasn't. Those of you at home who texted in to our Cerveza Tecate, who is winning text poll, Bernard Hopkins, 61% of the vote.
I'm an AT&T guy. Does it count?
Were you texting during the fight?
I was.
So Roy,
it was bizarre.
With that bruised eye, cut with the clash of heads, and then numerous times looking over at us during the broadcast as Hopkins was down in pain from being hit to the back of the head. And the judges' scorecards are now in the hands of Michael Buffer.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the Mandalay Bay, Las Vegas, we go to the scorecards. Don Trella scores at 117, 110. Glenn Trowbridge, 117, 110. Dave Moretti, 118, 109. All to the winner by unanimous decision from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Bernard, the Executioner Hopkins.
Unanimous decision for Bernard Hopkins, and a show of respect and sportsmanship after 12 rounds that at times hardly had any. Bernard Hopkins, the 51st win in his legendary career. Still, and keep in mind, and I know this was a matchup of two guys past 40, but still Bernard Hopkins is among the pound-for-pound elites, according to Ring Magazine, and number 3 in the light heavyweight rankings. And Ray, it was very obvious to read on the scorecards.
It was obvious. Roy did not pressure as much as I thought he would.
Do you think he'll have regrets of missed opportunities?
No, I mean, considering all facts.
Or were no opportunities there at all?
No, they were not.
I think that sums it up, doesn't it?
It does.
The opportunities really didn't exist opposite Bernard Hopkins. But they'll be talking about this one for a while, with some of the strange circumstances that we saw unfolding.
It was a good fight for themselves. It was all about themselves.
That was the one thing that was always undervalued in the lead up to this fight. It meant more to them. People complained it doesn't mean anything to the fight game anymore. It doesn't mean what it should have meant to the fans. The fans wanted it years ago, but it meant the world to each of them. Let's send it up to the ring and Doug Fisher.
All right, Bernard, congratulations on your victory. This is a fight that you wanted for 17 years. You lobbied for it for 10 years. You won the rematch. Was it worth it?
Yes, it was worth it. It was kind of rough. It was kind of rough, but Roy's a veteran. He timed me up. I was tying him up. Good fight. I mean, you know, it was a good fight.
How badly were you hurt with the punches behind the head? We're not used to seeing you go down on the canvas and go through that sort of thing.
I fought through it 6 rounds. I see spots, but I mean, I've been hit back in the head before in the gym, but not with out of headgear on. So right now, I'm toughing it out doing this interview with you. But I've been seeing spots in 6 rounds. But
Let's look at some of this action here. Tell us what you're seeing. What were you doing to Roy?
I was just trying to smother him so he won't get off the counter because he's still got speed. And I was trying to stay on top and put the pressure on him, throwing combinations, not hard punches, but soft punches, like I seen other fighters do. And I seen that I can get inside and throw punches. So I started to do that. But then, you know, I just felt I got hit in the back of the head and my legs just went. I seen spots and stuff, and then, you know, I got in shape. I'm in shape for the fight, but I'm still human in there.
Explain this right here. After the 6th round, you guys continued to go at it. It got kind of nasty in there.
Because I was mad, man. I mean, Weeks did a hell of a job. I think he one of the top referees in Nevada in the boxing world, and he was doing the best he can to keep both of us under control. You know, Roy to me, man, I got respect for him, but he was trying to either get me to get myself out the fight by retaliating back, or trying to get out the fight by saying that, you know, I hit him low or hit me in the back of my head. So I just wanted to keep pressing. I'm a scrappy Philadelphia fighter, man. I might not be pretty, I might not be flashy, but I'm a hard blue-collar worker like most Americans.
Well, congratulations on your victory, Bernard. Whatever you decide to do from here on out, we look forward to supporting you.
Believe it or not, you're gonna think the back of the punch in the back of the head made me crazy, but I want David Haye. I want to win a heavyweight champion of the world.
All right, Bernard. Good luck to you. Let's go to Roy. Roy, you did not get the decision in this fight, but tell us, how do you feel after going 12 rounds with your rival, with your nemesis?
Hey, I feel great, man. I mean, at this age, I'm still able to go. First of all, I thank God for blessing me with the opportunity to come out and do it again. Pensacola in the house. I love all my fans. Thank y'all so much for supporting me over the years. That was a great fight. I can't take nothing away from him for the smart, technical fight. He did the normal Bernard Hopkins. I kind of got behind because so many things were going on, but I was trying to get the knockout because I wanted that 60-40, so I ain't gonna lie. I was trying to knock him out.
Tell me, were you surprised with the rabbit punches, Bernard's reaction to those shots? From where I was sitting, it didn't look like they were terribly hard punches.
Well, he do like he always do. He's gonna get his rest. He's a very crafty veteran, and he was hitting me behind the head. The ref don't say nothing, but when I hit him, I get points taken and everything else. So that's Bernard Hopkins. But you got to know that he's a veteran.
At any point, did you think that the fight could end in a disqualification? Were you concerned about that?
Actually, I was worried about it the first time, so that's why I kind of had to back up and just try to go for the knockout, because if I did too much, I was going to get disqualified.
Now, I'm looking at your eye. Your left eye is badly lacerated.
Headbutt.
Did that affect the way you fought? Did the fouls affect the way you fought?
No, the foul didn't really affect the way I fought. It's just that I knew that if I fouled too much, I was going to get disqualified.
Do you feel that you still have it, Roy? I mean, I know you feel good after 12 rounds, but do you want to continue fighting? And at what caliber?
I'll go back and talk to my coaches, my dad, and see what happens, who we think. And if I feel like I still can muster it up, we'll do it. If not, we'll call it a day. I've had a wonderful career. I can't add for much better than I've had. God has blessed me thoroughly, time and time again. Like I said, I love the fans. I love to come out and give the fans what they want. And I tried to give it to them tonight. It didn't happen, but hey, that's how it goes.
Well, the fans love you, whatever you decide.
Pensacola in the house.
You're still a legend.
I still love y'all, and you know this.
All right, Joe, we'll throw it back to you.
Thanks, Doug. Ray Leonard, that sounded as close to a retirement announcement as you would get just moments after a fight. As Bernard leaves and makes his way back to the locker room, we heard him say that I was seeing spots after being hit in the back of the head. Lots to digest here. We'll start with Bernard Hopkins claiming that the fouls were legitimate and that the fouls did affect him, that he was seeing spots. He also said of some of the tactics of Roy Jones that he was trying to get me out of my game.
Well, naturally, Roy was trying to frustrate him. Roy didn't do much to do that. But the fact of the matter was, it was a competitive fight based upon their ages and where they are in their career. And I mean, also, that was for them. It wasn't for the fans, I hate to say that, or anyone else. The title, it was for them.
Spring and Doug Fisher just returned. Interesting interviews up in the ring. Let's talk about the future of Bernard Hopkins.
You know, I think by Bernard Hopkins' reaction to those rabbit punches, it's not something we would have seen from him with the same caliber of punches 5 years ago, certainly not 10 years ago. I do think he's beginning to feel his age. I don't think he would have gone into as much theatrics as we saw. I think it's time for him to hang him up. I don't think he will. I think he wants maybe one more fight. He threw out David Hayes' name, which tells us he still wants one more huge fight. He still wants to be the underdog and try to prove everybody wrong at least one last time.
Gentlemen, thank you very much for being with us ringside. Sugar Ray, Doug Fisher, an interesting night to say the least. On behalf of these guys and our entire crew, I'm Joe Tessitore. We're glad you were with us here. The Rivals, we open it up and we saw Ismail Salak, a very fine-looking light heavyweight prospect with a TKO win over Daniel Judah. He is now 12-0 in his career. Salak, a Ukrainian who now fights out of California. Very impressive fashion tonight to open up this pay-per-view card. Then Sergio Mora, the return of the Latin Snake. He was off for 18 months. He went in against Calvin Green, an unknown from Texas, who put forth a game effort, but Mora started to come on as the fight went on, and he won by 7th round TKO. Mora now 22-1-1 for the recent titleist at junior middleweight, now trying to contend at 160 pounds. Then Jason Litzow faced off with Rocky Juarez. Of course, Rocky Juarez, 5 times a world title challenger. Jason Litzow, a fan-friendly TV fighter who clearly has matured and came out and boxed well at range against Rocky Juarez, but there was a clash, there was a cut just under the eye, and in the 7th round, the fight was unable to continue just when Juarez felt he was starting to get some momentum, so we went to the scorecards. Referee Jay Nady saying this fight cannot continue, and a technical unanimous decision for Litzow. Then, of course, our main event, the Rivals. 17 years they waited. The first fight in '93 was won by Roy Jones, taking his first title. Tonight, oddities throughout. Hopkins controlling the action early on. Then in round number 6, things started to get a little wild. We saw hitting behind the head. 2 different times. A near brawl at the end of the 6th round as they fought right through the bell. Low blows, point deductions, high drama throughout, a little bit of everything. And in the end, Bernard Hopkins, the victor. What will be the future of Roy Jones? Surely we will find out. 41 years old, takes a loss to his bitter rival. Bernard Hopkins made mention of possibly fighting at heavyweight against David Haye. We will see what comes of that. But the true technician of the sweet science, Ring Magazine #4 pound for pound, comes out the victor here tonight at the Mandalay Bay. For Doug Fisher and Sugar Ray Leonard, I'm Joe Tessitore. Thanks for being with us, and have yourself a great night. The Rivals has been brought to you by Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino, Tecate Beer, Cerveza con Carácter, AT&T, a better 3G experience, Southwest Airlines, bags fly free, and we'd like to thank our internet partners.